You think you've got my number figured out? A motive born in drought and brevity. And if I'm not the soul of your design, I blatantly decline your remedy. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine. Wasn't always just a single shade, a palette full of gray in reverie. And I can burn it brighter than the sun. I have a golden gun inside of me. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else. And if I fall behind, ignoring all the signs, if I lose the fight, I still rage against the night. Don't box I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Thursday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Thursday. Sorry about that, folks. No, I'm not dead. I'm right here. Calm down, everybody. Sorry about that. John Lithium, welcome. Moanep. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. How's everybody doing? Today is a special stream. We will be bringing on Globus, the Elder. Welcome, Michael Hassner. Yes, we're going to speed run through some of these things before Globus gets here. Thank you all for being here. If you enjoy the content and want to support the channel directly, make sure you keep doing what you're doing, folks. Like the stream, follow us here on Twitch, subscribe on YouTube, like, share, all the awesome stuff. Spread the word here, folks. We're here Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, 5 p.m. Eastern. Check out the show on this space on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Join the Discord, Substack, and all that. Let's get started, folks.
You suck. You are fat. You are a joke. You are stupid. We are going to look back on the MAGA movement as the biggest scam in American history. And the liberals were right.
I really thought this would never happen, but here we are.
Just to be clear, like, there's nothing to be trusted from Nick Fuentes, okay? Probably, like, the problem that Nick Fuentes is having is that, like, the Nazism isn't happening fast enough.
The furthest right of far-right Trump supporters has now turned on him in a dramatic way, and related to that is a J.D. Vance clip, an old J.D. Vance clip, that is now going viral. So I'm going to get to both of those clips and just what is going on here, because there is actually, finally, it appears to be a real turning point in the Trump administration, where there is a clear split.
I mean, like, is there, unless, like, there's I mean, you know, it's a cult, so I don't know, like, how deep this schism is. There might be some, like, true believer QAnon people that are genuinely, like, splitting over this QAnon stuff, but I don't know to what degree this is gonna split the base as a whole. But hey, I mean, if it damages the Republicans and if it damages this Trump cult, I mean, it's kind of that's kind of a W in and of itself. Yeah, that's basically it. They consider Trump to be an Israeli asset. Yeah, you see, that's kind of yeah. I kind of picked up what Nick Fuentes was throwing down. I mean, I've spent a unnecessary amount of time arguing with fascists to kind of understand what where they're coming from with this kind of stuff. Fuentes' problem is that they weren't fascist enough. Yeah, exactly. I agree. I'm not very hopeful about it yet.
A lot of MAGA, and I at least in terms of the far right public supporters with a platform, a lot of them are very critical of Trump right now over the fact that he is unwilling to say anything more about the Epstein case. For, I think, an obvious reason. We'll get to that in a minute. But, like, there's actually a split here. They actually care about an issue. They don't care about the mass deportations. They don't care about the mass atrocities being...
Well, no, because they voted for that. I think we're hitting the head. The head. We're hitting the nail on the head, right? They're not complaining about the fascism because that's what they want. The fascism is explicitly what they're voting, what they voted for. They're not going to complain or care about that. That's what they want. It seems to me, to the degree that this rift exists, it seems to be over like this conspiracy theory, right? It's over conspiracy theory. It's imploding over this this conspiracism when the call is coming from inside the house, right? Like, why isn't Trump releasing the files? Well, because he's heavily implicated in them. That's why. I think they can also smell blood in the water. Trump's popularity is going down. Abandoning ship. Yep. I have a potentially controversial take on the Epstein case. The client list was a nothing burger the whole time. Do we really believe any of the people, given it would have leaked immediately if there wasn't anything valuable there? They're all sharks trying to one up each other. I mean, maybe, or maybe it's just that they're all kind of in that boat, and if one of them decides to do that, then they all go down. I don't know. I mean, it's quite possible, or quite possibly that it's just kind of like not so much as a nothing burger, but so much as a not as bombastic as people would think. Like, you know, if we were to see that, like, I don't know, Trump was heavily implicated in the Epstein files, would we really be that shocked? If we saw that someone like Bill Clinton would be heavily implicated in the Epstein files, would we be really shocked? Probably not. I just don't believe the people who got the dossier wouldn't have wanted to be and are one Epstein dethroner. At least one of them would have dropped it if there were any real juice. I mean, maybe. I don't know. It like, the thing is, like, it's kind of, we could know this information if Republicans wanted that out there, right? Like, we could, if it was that big of a nothing burger, they could just vote and get that out there, or get Ghislaine Maxwell. They could get her and shed some light on this if it's a nothing burger, right? Unless the point is to keep that allure. I don't know. If they release it now, there's jack shit in it, then people know they lied about it being a bombshell. Right, but like, if they don't release it, then that kind of implicates that kind of goes in that cuts both ways, is what I'm trying to say. Like, if you don't release it, then it sounds like, to me, like you're trying to cover stuff up. It sounds to me like you're acting very, 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 very much defensive and suspect. Like, why would you be so mad that people ask about the Epstein files, right? Like Trump crashing out, Trump very visibly crashing out on social media and against reporters. I don't know. I think they give people too much credit. People forget very quickly. I mean, maybe.
Committed in Gaza with the support of the U.S. government. They don't care about the fact that nobody can afford anything, but they do care about this case, which, to be clear, is an important case. It's just, I don't know. I'm surprised that this that there's actually something, you could argue, a policy issue here that they are concerned about and are critical that Trump is not doing enough on it. So to first get to this JD Vance clip, this was a tweet from JD Vance back in December 2021, where he said, "What possible interest would the US government have in keeping Epstein's clients secret?" Oh, he replied to his own tweet saying this: "If you're a journalist and you're not asking questions about this case, you should be ashamed of yourself. What purpose do you even serve? I'm sure there's a middle-class teenager somewhere who could use some harassing right now, but maybe try to do your job once in a while." Yet, if you look at the times that Trump is talking to the press now and they're asking questions about Epstein, Trump is very annoyed at all of those questions in a way that you rarely see him actually get bothered by a question. And when he gets bothered by a question, you know there is something else to it. So this gets
we'll be forgiven if he puts cane sugar back in the Coca-Colas. True.
To this JD Vance clip. This is on Theo Vaughn's podcast, and it's really quick. I'll just play it in the window.
Release the list.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
Oh boy.
What happened? What happened? In fact, I wonder what happened. Here is the various things that happened. I mean, this was, I've done a few videos on this story now. It's honestly getting exhausting to a point because this is all so obvious and clear. This was clear before the election. Trump was a close friend of Epstein. Epstein is on tape saying that Trump was one of his closest friends. There's all these images, videos. He's obviously a part of this. Somewhere he's in those files. Clearly. Now, even Theo Vaughn came out replying to that video saying, "Yeah, what changed?" So this is the one issue that appears to be breaking through to everyone. Trump supporters, this is the Guardian story.
Maybe.
Trump supporters burn MAGA hats after he dismisses Epstein files fear as hoax. So just a quick
MAGA
clip of
hats
this.
are off. America First hats are on.
Just to be clear, like America First is a fascist movement. So yeah, that's cool.
So I guess there's several videos of people just cooking their MAGA hats. All right. Now, this, it's permeating. Laura Loomer, who is still defending Trump, is still very closely associated with him. But even she is admitting that this is an issue, saying that this could consume the Trump presidency, saying, quote, "Obviously, this is not a complete hoax, given the fact that Ghislaine Maxwell is currently serving 20 years in prison in Florida for her crimes and activities with Jeffrey Epstein, who we know is a convicted sexual predator. This is why I said, and I'll reiterate again, the best thing that the president can do is appoint a special counsel to handle the Epstein files investigation." He, of course, is not going to do that. He already said he's not going to do that. Again, I wonder why. Let's go back to that JD Vance post. What possible interest would the U.S. government have in keeping Epstein's clients secret? Oh. So, the ultimate clip. This is so
What's
hilarious.
actually the botched plastic? Probably. I mean, being a fascist does kind of,
This
its
is Nick
effects.
Fuentes, the furthest of far-right supporters that Trump has. Here are his thoughts.
And now he says, if you're not on board with the Epstein cover-up, I don't want your support. You're a weakling. Fuck you. Fuck you. You suck. You are fat. You are a joke. You are stupid.
Jesus Christ.
You are not funny. You are not as smart as you think you are.
Yeah, this dude was like glazing Trump and was present at the January 6th insurrection. My.
You are, and honestly, and if you watch my show, I've been very critical. I've never been this far. This just goes to show this entire thing has been a scam. When we look back on the history of populism in America, we are going to look back on the MAGA movement as the biggest scam in American history.
Oh man, he's so close. He's so close. We're skipping a hop from admitting that right-wing populism is fake. Oh my god, these telemarketer scam calls. Fell for again award. Fun to watch the knives come out. Heat, how's it going?
And the liberals were right. The MAGA supporters were had. They were.
Like we're just a skip and a hop away from admitting that right-wing populism isn't a thing. It's just fascism.
When we look back in history, we will see Trump as a scam artist who served as a vehicle for this rather than the other way around. We were not the vehicle for Trump. Trump was the vehicle for all of us.
All right, before I get to my theory as to maybe what is going on here, this is absolutely hilarious. You are fat. You are a joke. You're stupid. You're not funny. We are going to look back on the MAGA movement as the biggest scam in
Yeah, bro is rushing over the fact that he was suckered for almost a full decade. Yep.
history. All of this was clear before. It didn't have to get to this point. So this gets to what I maybe think is going on here. And that is, these people realize that at some point, this administration is going to come to an end. At some point, Trump is no longer going to be the president. And they understand how disastrous he is on every single issue. And they don't want to be associated with that in the history books looking back at this.
I mean, I would, if I may argue a little bit here, I don't know if that actually is going to get through, to people, especially to those who are deep in the MAGA cult. I'm not convinced. I could be wrong. Maybe time will prove David right. But I just don't. I just don't think that these people are going to have that kind of self-reflection, if that makes sense. Let me just rewind it for like a second here.
He is on every single issue. It's going to come to an end. At some point, Trump is no longer going to be the president. And they understand how disastrous he is on every single issue. And they don't want to be associated with that in the history books looking back at this. Oh, who was backing Trump back then? Oh, well, these people denounced him. No, you brought him a second term. So we should all be clear about who led Trump to this point and who has been calling him out the entire time. These people that supported him this up till now do not get an easy out, because all of a sudden now they're turning on him. Now, in the immediate, maybe it has an impact. Look, I don't know what Nick Fuentes' audience actually is. To me, it often seems like he gets
they're just Nazis. Ladybug, it's fine. They have Trump Jr. ready to go. The Trump dynasty must rule for 1,000 years.
more attention than he actually deserves. That said, I do think it's sort of a canary in the coal mine where, hey, if he's saying this, it's very likely a lot of people are feeling that. You know, we saw the Burning Mega House, but again, it's like 4 people. So it's hard to really know the actual impact of this on Trump going
It's premature to say. Yeah, I mean, I could be 1,000% wrong, and maybe this is the thing that breaks the MAGA cult, simply because it's just untenable, or I don't know.
the future and, you know, potential elections. That said, it has an impact so far more than anything.
I just want to know, like, how much damage this is going to do to the fascist movement. That's what I'm interested in debating. Like, how likely are we to see the fascist movement kind of implode and eat each other, because it tends to happen with fascist movements. They'll turn on each other. So I mean, is this the line? I don't know. And how bad is it going to hurt? And how bad is it going to hurt the Republicans and the fascist movement? I don't know.
Else I have seen in a way that is almost bizarre to me, because they let him get away with everything else. Anything else that's going wrong, it's someone else's fault. Yet this issue, they are actually, I want to say holding his feet to the fire, but I'm not sure if that's the right term here. Because
I mean, eventually, they're going to run out of people to blame, right? That's kind of the fascist playbook. Eventually, they're going to run out of people to blame. Welcome, Kirkensteins. This D-bag has money to think of. I'm not convinced he's ever sincere.
they're not necessarily doing that, but they are recognizing that Trump is a part of the problem here, and they are not trying to blame somebody else. At least most of them are. There are the occasional. I saw Glenn Beck try and put the blame on Pam Bondi, as if she's the one pulling the strings here. So, you know, there's going to be attempts to try and blame someone else around Trump. But a lot of them are like Nick Fuentes, where they're just pointing out, hey, this guy is the problem. So will this continue is the real question. Because we've seen criticisms before. Nick Fuentes has criticized Trump before, maybe not to this degree. But they always go back. They do this, and then he's a genius. He did it again. So how long will this last? I'm actually impressed. This has lasted up to, about 2 weeks so far.
Lining up that Fell For It award again. Nadia, welcome.
We're going to see if this continues. That's the biggest question here. But if it does, I mean, this may actually be a real shift in the Trump support base to a point where it could actually impact him going into the midterms and into a future election.
I hope so. I don't know. Maybe it's just the cynicism that in me that doesn't trust these MAGA people. History says dynasties of continuation thereof amount to fascists last around 2,000 to 2,500 years. Well, hopefully this one, led by the type of people that they're being led by, does not come around to that point. I prefer that it doesn't. Of course, I as a single person does not have a say in that, but I hope that is not the case. I hope that it implodes in itself and destroys itself. Kind of piggybacking off that story, looming Epstein vote has Republicans eager to leave Washington like rats jumping off a sinking ship. House Republican leaders are under fierce internal pressure to send members home for the summer amid deepening anxiety over a possible vote on the Jeffrey Epstein controversy. Computer age, maybe the cycle will be faster. Our attention spans are certainly shorter. I hope so. In this case, it's to everyone's benefit. BRB, no problem. Many GOP lawmakers fear cornered by an expected discharge petition that would force a House vote on publicizing Epstein-related records. Representatives Tom Massey and Ro Khanna launched this effort on Tuesday to yesterday, making it available for signatures in a possible floor vote as soon as next week. Democrats have already forced Republicans to make tough Epstein-related procedural votes that have stoked a barrage of constituents to call into GOP offices, but they have not been able to force a clear up or down vote on the release of the so-called Epstein files. Questions about the late convicted sex predator have exploded inside the GOP since Justice Department announced earlier this month that it concluded that there was no foul play involved in the 2019 death, while his federal custody and there is no client list of powerful accomplices to be released. Which, again, begs the question, how did Ghislaine Maxwell get convicted? who were the clients if there's no list? While Julius Caesar had competency, he was assassinated, and the continuations of his dynasty lasted until either 1453 or 1918, depending on whether you consider the Ottomans a continuation thereof. I'm hoping that this is not one of those actual political dynasties, or I guess dynasties as we think of when we talk about someone like Julius Caesar. President Trump insistence on that the controversy is a... sorry, I'm going to skip the paragraph here. Republicans want to leave town early for several reasons, but senior House Republicans acknowledge that calls for transparency around the Epstein case is becoming a bigger problem for the party. President Trump's insistence on the controversy is a Jeffrey Epstein hoax concocted by Democrats while eviscerating some of his own supporters as, quote, weaklings who have fallen prey to his political opponent's BS, has done little to tamp down the fury. It's Epstein all day, said one frustrating Republican who was granted anonymity to speak candidly about the controversy. We can't ignore this. Oh, man. Oof. Yeah. The hope, according to more than a dozen GOP members and aides, that have Speaker Mike Johnson and Majority Leader Steve Scalise decide to cancel next week's scheduled House session and instead send members home for an extended summer recess once voting concludes on Thursday or Friday. I always forget we have a pool here. It's always full of children. Well, it's summer, so I imagine more so now. I don't know what the school schedule is, but the thinking members and aides said is that members won't have to face questions at home about whether or not they have signed on to the Massey-Kana effort, and that the issue will have died down by the time the members return to Washington in September. They want you to forget about it, man. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. One of the biggest flags that you planted down. Don't worry about it. There's like one person probably paid minimum wage and has to watch the pool, and parents just let all their 50 kids come up there. Oof. Scalise said Tuesday there's no plan to change the House schedule, which has members staying in Washington through July 24th. An aide to the Majority Leader reiterated Thursday that the plan is not changing. Leaving early would spark intense anger from appropriators who are already livid over delays in government funding work ahead of the September 30th shutdown deadline. GOP leaders have discussed changing next week's schedule, but senior Republican aides acknowledged it would not look good to leave for traditional August recess in mid-July with plenty more work to do. Democrats are expected to create more headaches for the GOP on Thursday by seeking to attach an Epstein-related amendment to the Trump administration's funding clawbacks package and the House Rules Committee. A similar effort failed this week, but not before one GOP member of the panel broke ranks. Massey said in an interview he was confident that the Epstein issue would remain ripe to the summer. He recalled on how conservative hardliners moved a decade ago to remove Speaker John Boehner right before the August recess, and then Boehner resigned after members came back in September. They probably want to let the steam out, but this will build momentum over August. They can't sweep this under the rug. Longevity has more to do with keeping dynasty unseating forces from rolling in during the de facto interregnums versus whether the founder was completely competent. Yeah, I mean, it's a matter of whether or not they can accomplish that, right? I prefer that pronunciation. That's how I pronounce it, okay? And that's how it's going to stay. Boehner? Nope, it's Boner. I'm sticking to it. I live in one of the manufactured home parks. It's an effing trailer park, so the houses are cheap. Young adults can buy a rent and have a nice ride instead. Lots of nice cars here, hundreds of kids. The Epstein saga has been a subject of deep fascination for many Trump supporters who see it as an emblematic of a deeply corrupt cabal of political elites preying on vulnerable Americans. You could probably ask them what they think that cabal of elites are, but the filter on founders revolves more around the fact that they have to defeat some sort of pre-existing rulers because there are no vacuums. Gotcha. Welcome, welcome, Herbert. But after the Justice Department essentially announced that there's no there there, the pressure broke out into full crisis this week. Some Republican lawmakers have reported an onslaught of calls from constituents. Others are calling for Epstein accomplices, and others to testify before Congress. Some Republicans have raised the matter in private floor conversations with party leaders, begging them to do something. The lawmaker added that people are freaking out, and the issue is only getting worse. People are like, what the F is the president doing? Asked by reporters on Thursday if he supports congressional authority to investigate the Epstein matter, Johnson replied, look, we'll see how it all develops. We're all for transparency. As I've said repeatedly, so has the president. Yeah. Transparency, huh? And all credible information needs to come out, and the American people need to make their own decisions. Speaking of transparency, Trump is not interested in naming a special counsel for the Epstein case. Cool. President Trump will not appoint a special counsel to review the Jeffrey Epstein case, the White House said on Thursday, today, shooting down a move that several of his allies have advocated. The president would not recommend a special prosecutor in the Epstein case. That's how he feels. So, cool. Some of Trump's most prominent supporters, including Steve Bannon, far-right activist Laura Loomer, and Lauren Boebert, had promoted the idea of Trump naming a special counsel to review the case. The Trump administration has come under a firestorm of criticism since the DOJ and FBI issued a brief memo earlier this month saying they thoroughly reviewed the Epstein case and no one else was facing charges in the probe, and they would not be releasing any more information in the future. So, yeah, transparency, right? Right? Womp, womp, womp. If these right-wing nuts think there's something there, then there's probably nothing there. I mean, someone earlier said that Mono earlier said that it's possible that his hot take was that it's possibly not as bombastic as people think. I mean, it's possible. It's possible. But then again, like, why act so defensive about it? You know, Globus, hey, cool, all right. So. How do we do this? I set up the I set up the stream together. Do you just knock, or do I click on it? Oh, okay, there we go. It's probably way worse than we think. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. All right.
All right.
Can everybody hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. Let's see. Why do I hear myself?
Why do you hear yourself?
Yeah. Like I hear myself repeat right after.
You don't have my stream open or anything, do you?
No.
I can hear you. Are you still doubled? Excellent. We are here. And then we just have to do the shared chat thing.
Okay. Muted. All right. Okay. No, wait. Okay, I got it. All right, chat. I think we're good. I think I figured it out. Hello, chat. Can you hear me?
There we go. And now we should be sharing chat. So my chat and your chat will all be in the same chat.
Wow, that's so cool. Look at that.
Yeah. No, when it works, it's really nice.
We can hear you both fine. Oh, look at that. Wow. Look at this professionalism. Right? On the first jump. Just a couple of buttons here. Neat. All right. Okay, so it looks like it's working.
Okay. Hi. How are you?
Good. Welcome. And thank you for doing this, by the way.
Oh,
Appreciate
it's absolutely
that.
my pleasure.
It's nice to kind of switch things up.
Yeah, no, this is my favorite thing to do is have conversations with other streamers, especially like, streamers like I enjoy like yourself. And yeah, and also, introduce the different communities, people who might watch your stream and not mine, and vice versa, and then they get to know each other, and also with the shared chat thing, like it creates the environment where people can we both get this total number of of viewers, so that's a nice boost all the way around to everybody.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. We agreed to talk about some AI stuff, and this is something that I'm actually not as well versed. I have thoughts about AI, only coming from like a political policy perspective, in the sense that like I have concerns about how AI may be implemented. I have concerns about how AI may be regulated or lack thereof. I have concerns about the impacts of unregulated AI and how it's uh, allowed to function. It takes up, for example, resources, stuff like that. Um, that's pretty much like as far as I can kind of go as far as AI. Just take it from a policy perspective, but like, why don't we actually have like a conversation about this? Like, what is AI?
Mhm.
First of all, like, what is AI? Let's start from the beginning.
From the beginning. That is one of those questions, right? There is no. We actually just watched a little video about this earlier on my stream, where there isn't actually a good, solid, universal definition for AI, and this is part of the problem. When you get into it, there will be people who say that's not real AI. And when people say that's not real AI, they have some definition. Maybe they're thinking of like um hell whoop sorry hell 9000 from 2001 A Space Odyssey, or Skynet, or something of that nature, right? And
Yeah,
those usually, like, what we would refer to those as would be AGI, right? Artificial general intelligence. Artificial intelligence that has capacity at the same level or greater than human beings. So that's one example of a semi-shared definition of AI. But AI actually is machine learning is AI. The algorithms that run, YouTube and social media, those are AI. They are artificial, as in, run by like computers. Artificial examples of cognition, things that people do, but the computer is doing them, that kind of thing.
gotcha.
All the examples of AI that we have right now, like, ChatGPT or AlphaGo or AlphaFold, or any of the ones that you hear about, are examples of what's called artificial narrow intelligence. They are very good at one thing and can often be better than humans at that one thing. But the thing that they're good at doesn't necessarily translate well to doing something else, and that's why they're called narrow.
Gotcha. So would I think someone mentioned, like, would an LLM be considered AI, or are we talking about different categories?
Yeah, no, an LLM is an example of artificial intelligence. It's a narrow intelligence, and the function of an LLM is to act as a um like an interface, right? It's in the same way that you normally use like Windows or whatever to interact with your computer, or if you want to play a game, the interface that's built into that game. An LLM is an interface to interact with the computer, with knowledge bases, that kind of thing. And so it is AI, but it's narrow. It's good at one particular thing.
Gotcha. Gotcha. How long have you been I mean, I understand it that you're basically one of, if not like the only streamer around that really focuses on this topic. Um
Mhm.
how long have you been like hanging out in this space?
Um, Pretty much for about 2.5 years. Prior to Mid Journey, right? My streams were mostly where I would talk about art because I'm an artist. Like, whoop, this way. This is a piece of my art.
Cool.
There's the finger, right? Like I make art. I was making art, and then my streams were usually like a historical perspective on current events. And so I would like it would be old man yells at clouds about whatever, and then we would talk about the whatever, but also the things that had happened that led us to the whatever. And I always was under the impression, as a lot of people were, that art was a place that was safe from artificial intelligence, right? Like the creative spaces were going to be like the last jobs that we had. So I felt good, right?
Mhm.
Like I was going to be able to make art forever. And to be fair, you can and absolutely should continue to make art if you're a human who's making art. But Midjourney came out of nowhere and threw me for a loop. And if I didn't know about it, then I figured nobody else knew about it. So I almost immediately pivoted to talking about, this AI stuff. And then ChatGPT dropped, and, fastest to 100 million users, and all these changes started to happen. So I started to go back and grab some of these, older videos and people talking about that stuff, but then just started collecting all the, the new news stories that were coming out, and all the, the different developments within the spaces and the competition between the different companies as they're creating these things. And it's just gone from there. And as far as I know, I am still there are some people on this platform who do like AI work, right?
Yeah.
Where they spend their time showing you what they do with the AI and how they build stuff and like that. And those technical folks are great, and more power to them. But I'm the only, as far as I'm aware of, only AI news and commentary person on Twitch.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm getting at. I mean, how do we wrangle with this, because it's here, right? There's
Mhm.
nothing we can do about it. How do we grasp this? Because it feels like in a way that it kind of has gotten out of our hands, and it's just being exploited, and it's exploiting artists as well. Like how do we get a handle on this? I
Mhm.
feel like it's very slippery. It's ephemeral, right? You don't really think too much about it.
Well, one of the things I think is that a lot of people don't think about AI really like at all, right? In a way that they should be. I see this a lot. I don't argue with people in other people's chats around on the internet, right? Somebody will pop off with AI can't code, it can't do this, it can't do that. And then I'm just like, cool, right? Like I am just not in that person who argues with those people, because it's too much to try and, give someone the breadth of what, this community has covered around AI and its capabilities at this point. But I absolutely the one thing I see most often, especially from folks on the left, is the rejection of the AI, right? Like, I don't want to use it because of environmental concerns. I don't want to use it because of ethical concerns. I don't want to use it because of things of that nature. And I get that, right? Like, there is a whole, there's a whole segment of our community over here, which is composed of people who don't like AI. they want to get what's actually going on. They want to know what it's capable of. They want to understand it and have good arguments. And that's you don't have to like AI to watch my channel and hang out with us. We just want people to have good arguments. We want people to have the good information. We want people to understand what's actually happening. I personally do want everyone, especially on the left, to be engaging with the AI, because if you abdicate the space, the fascists and the capitalists are going to occupy that space and they're going to eat it up. So the only representation within the AI space is going to be those people. And I want more representation from, people on the left, people who view themselves as being on the left. In the chat there, Reed posted a link to a Google Doc.
Mm-hmm.
That Google Doc contains a bunch of books that form the underlying theory behind this channel. And one of the core books of that is Aaron Bastani's Fully Automated Luxury Communism, right? Where Aaron Bastani is a leftist, and Aaron Bastani is talking about how we can have like this fully automated future in a society that distributes resources, right? Like, and it's not just him. There are a bunch of people more and more every day who are upset about the rejection by the left of this technology and the abdication of that space. Shout out, I'm going to post a link here. This is AI Wars from Alexander Avila. It's 3 hours and 10 minutes, but it's some of the best 3 hours and 10 minutes that you'll spend to understand what's actually going on. It's a nice, if anyone took what we have covered on this channel over the past 2.5 years and boiled it down into 3 hours of content, Alex did an excellent job, and I highly recommend it.
Gotcha. I mean, that's kind of why we're here, right? To kind of just get to kind of address that, right? Because I feel like a lot of people are afraid of AI, and I feel like there may be some valid criticisms or rather some valid concerns about AI, but like everything, I would ask the question: it's a tool, right? So how do we make it work for us?
Exactly.
What
Hey, you had something else?
Yeah. What can AI do for us?
The like off jump, one of the things that let's say you're a heavy theory leftist, right? Like you're one of those people, and you have all the books that have been written. You've got Capital, and you got State and Revolution, and you've got Conquest of Bread, and every other one you could think of. You can take PDF copies of all those books and find those wherever you find PDF copies of all your favorite books, and put them into an AI, and then use it like ChatGPT or Gemini, and then use that to like synthesize those theories, for instance. And you can use them to like what are the because one of the things that happens among leftists is the infighting thing, where we argue about stuff, where you can find the lines of synthesis, right? Like, where do these people actually all kind of get along, and use those as a foundation, right? What if you wanted to organize in your community, right? And you didn't know how to do that? Because, and my critique that I have of a lot of people on Twitch in the leftist space is they say things like organize, right? And there's like, how do you do one of those, right? Like, how do I do an organize? And you can use one of these chatbots to have a conversation about that, right? Like how would I go about organizing a group of people to do X, whatever your goal is. How would I go about starting a community garden, right? And give you like an actual step-by-step process in order to create a community garden, and what you would have to go through, what hoops you would have to jump through. And you can ask, based on your local area, your municipality, whatever rules that they might have. There are just literally, this is the thing about the chatbots. You can ask them how they can help you. It's an amazing piece of technology that a lot of people just walk away from because of its, again, the concerns are valid, right? There are environmental concerns. Now, whether the environmental concerns are as bad as some of the people say that they are, it probably not, right? They're probably not that bad. Are they as great as like Sam Altman says and they're nothing to worry about? Also probably not. There's a whole lot of opacity that exists within those spaces where people don't get to actually have the data that we need to form good conclusions. But what I can say again is that you can use it to do like almost anything when it comes to words and knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's really up to the user who's making these things, right? Um, that's going to depend on what results you get. So I guess you can either go with bots that create summaries of leftist theory, or you get bots that declare themselves Mecha Hitler. So,
There's that.
yeah. So I guess it just depends on how you wield said tools.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the it's really when it comes to like getting started with an LLM, just take a question that you would like to ask another person, right? And ask the chatbot, and now a lot of people have a bad time where they say, oh, I entered, a prompt into the thing and it went off the rails and it hallucinated and it did all this stuff. So what I would recommend, right? Like the very first thing that I would do with a new chatbot, I'm going to start doing a thing, is I would ask the chatbot how to ask the chatbot what I wanted to know, right? Like,
Yeah.
What did Lenin say in State and Rev about like the future communist society, right? Like I would say, how help me write a prompt to ask you for an analysis of how Lenin felt about the future communist state, and it will come back with a prompt. It will show you how to ask it a question. When people have a bad time prompting the LLM, it's because they're asking the bad question, right? It's the monkey's paw,
Yeah.
right? You're making a wish. You have to craft that wish to make sure that you get the outcome that you're trying to.
What is the most popular I guess chatbot or AI that you use?
The most popular one, like what most people, when you talk about an AI chatbot, they're gonna think of ChatGPT. I use Gemini, which is Google's model, because it has nice connections with other Google products like Drive and Keep and etc. It's Docs, which I use already, so it keeps it in house, and also like you can use free ones. There's absolutely a bunch of free this is a great one, is Google's AI Studio. Oh, and I'll throw this in chat. This gives you access to some excellent tools for free. And then if you pay the $20 a month for Gemini, you can use the advanced models that you get when you use the paid thing. One of the things that this website can do is there's an option in there called Stream. And then when you go to Stream, you can actually share your screen with the chatbot. So let's say you want to learn how to use, I don't know, Adobe Photoshop or whatever the hell they call it. You can fire up Adobe Photoshop and have a tutor walk you through the process of how to do the thing that you want to do. And it can actually look at your screen and tell you, what to do and to get what you want.
Gotcha. Would what type of how can we craft AI where it doesn't step on some of these lines? I mean, would we need to craft to my understanding, there's very little to no regulation on this AI.
Mhm.
What how can we craft these things so that AI works more for the people instead of more for the capital class, instead of it being like a product that is being marketed, instead being something that is a tool for people to use, because I think that kind of takes away from AI when it's being marketed for money, versus it being an actual tool that people can use, right? Because you're incentivized to build a product that makes money, not exactly a product that necessarily even works. Like, you're not interested in that if you're if this is like something that is in private hands, right?
Mhm. Okay, like there's two different things that you're asking me there. One, how do we, prevent the AI from being a product, and how do we properly regulate it? I mean, at this point in time, we build a time travel device and go back and make sure Jimmy Carter gets a second term, right? That's basically it. Like, because we are on a road of deregulation and capitalist success and all that kind of stuff that leads us in this condition, right? There's just, should there be regulation around AI? Absolutely. Like, you will not catch me, saying that there shouldn't be regulation around AI. The problem that we have, though, is that we don't have a government that is interested in regulating AI. So then the question there actually becomes, well, how do you get a government that actually is interested in regulating AI? And then you just keep going back until you figure out the answer, right?
Yeah.
Now, as far as the other aspect, how do you end up with, how do you avoid ending up with a mecha Hitler? This is actually because Elon is very bad at stuff. If you actually have one of these AIs, including Grok, including Elon's, chatbot Grok, in the political compass is not great, right? But it's a model and it's a tool and we can use it. All the chatbots end up in that lower left green corner, right? Like where tends to be like, leftists. Because reality has a leftist liberal bias, right? Like it trends in that direction. And the reason why you end up with something like Mecha Hitler is because people like Elon, who don't understand how all this crap works, try to make it be more what they think is non-biased, right? Like trend away from that. But when they do that, the thing wiles out, right? The
Yeah.
only thing that they can do is try and reference Elon's tweets. Well, when you reference Elon's tweet, that's what you end up with, that kind of thing. So just using the chatbot, one of the very first things that I ever did was, because there's a concept called alignment, right? And this is how you prevent Skynet, right? You basically, how do we make sure when the AI gets super strong and super intelligent and super capable, how do we prevent it from going off the rails and going all Terminator on us? And also, that's a very unlikely scenario. That's not how it would happen at all, even if it did happen. And I don't think it's actually going to happen at all anyway, but I digress. When you are trying to align the chatbot, you want it to take into consideration human values, right? What are human values? And rather than decide for the ChatGPT what the human values were, I asked ChatGPT, what would be the human values that AI is supposed to be aligned to, and we went through a process and went back and forth. And after getting a list of what ChatGPT thought human values that were important to alignment were, I then asked it what type of socio-political economic system would most cater to those human values. And ChatGPT, invented in Silicon Valley by arch capitalists, came back talking about it's socialism, it's democratic socialism, it's in that vein. So the chatbots are already trending in the right direction. And again, there's nothing that they can do about that because of the way that reality functions.
Yeah. I think somebody here in chat made a good point. We should have access to the model weights, as we essentially generate all the data. We made all the data. We made what ChatGPT is capable of, right? Like, so it should be open to people. And I don't think that, like, it goes back to that thing with enshedification. You get stuff like what Grok is doing. I don't want chatbots or AI or however you want to describe it, LLMs. I think they're all just kind of umbrella term. People categorize that as AI, right? I just don't want that to be more like a product rather than like a tool.
Sure.
I think that's personally,
how
that's
do you
like,
do that?
Yeah, I mean, you need government regulation. You really do. You need government regulation.
And how do you get government regulation?
You have to be politically engaged. Otherwise, you don't get what you need. Otherwise, you get runaway chatbots, or being sold like something that is supposed to be like the next level thing, but it isn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it really is that. Like, I am, and I've got mad love to all the people on Twitch, in all the leftist communities. I don't do leftist infighting at all, in any way, shape, or form, because if you're pushing in the same way that I'm pushing, then we're on the same side. And if we have some disagreement over something, then we can settle that afterward, right?
Yeah.
But in the here and now, we have to worry. Oh, you got a raid.
Oh, cool. Hey, welcome everybody. Waxing Philosophical, thank you so much. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. If you haven't seen us before, I am A Difficult Truth, and we're chatting with Globus the Elder. Thank you all. If you enjoy your stay, make sure you check out A Difficult Truth, and check out Globus the Elder. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it.
It's what's great about the stream together thing, right? Like it just makes life. This is what it always should have been. And there are people who swear by Discord and people who swear by Video Ninja and everything else, but just the shared chat aspect of it makes this. And to be fair, if you just like the shared chat, you could still have your conversation over Discord or whatever your preferred method, and just use the stream together for its shared chat ability. I've seen people do that. I think I might have actually done that with Justin Freakin.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, what did you guys talk about? Justin Freakin is a he's been around for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
He's been
we
around.
talked about AI. Like everybody I talk to, you know, we end up talking about AI in some capacity, right? Like, and I'm willing to talk to anybody, right? Your most anti-AI person on Twitch, like I'm willing to have that conversation, because again, this space, this community, they like, we all are on the time of, we want to educate people, we want people to actually understand what's going on. As long as people are come in good faith and are willing to exchange ideas and hear ideas, right, and hear why the, you know, idea that they have might not be accurate to reality, then we get along famously, right? Like we don't ban people, we don't rage on people, we don't do any of that shit unless people come way out of pocket and ask for it.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, that's kind of why I'm here, because I'm honestly not like, I don't have the foundation, you know, about AI, the knowledge about AI, to say like this is going to ruin us all, or this is going to be the greatest thing ever. I just don't know. That's why I'm here. And I think Nemesis kind of puts it succinctly. It's you know, initially it's kind of like this defensive posture, but not outright to strictly just reject AI. It's more like it's mostly like the problems, and I think it was them who also pointed out, like most of the problems come back to like how capitalism just exploits and shitifies everything, and how do we prevent that, especially with something so potentially powerful like AI.
Yeah, like that right there, I think is one of the biggest things about like people's problems with AI. You don't actually have a problem with AI necessarily. You have a problem with capitalism. And I agree with you, you know, like I am on board with the you know, the anti-capitalist, because my philosophy starts at nobody has to die, right? Like I am, everyone gets food, right? And if your philosophy doesn't include everyone gets food regardless of work or anything else, I don't want to hear it, right? Because if you're okay with some people dying because they don't get to eat, I'm not okay with that, and we can't have a conversation. But if you think everyone should have food, then we're on the same page. But I don't actually, like, to be honest, right? It's not doomer, in my opinion. It's an accurate perception of the current system, right? The way that everything currently is, right? Shit could change, and then in which case I would reassess. I don't think that there's anything that we can do to stop them from creating the AI that they want to create with the artificial general intelligence and the, replacing people's jobs with automation and all that stuff. I just don't think there's anything that we can do given the amount of time that we have in all probability in which to do it. But my view on the thing is that the act of creating the AI that they want to create, that the capitalists want to create, is the thing that's going to destroy their system, right? The one that most people are catching on to now is the idea that, well, if they go ahead and they replace all the workers with robots and AI, then they don't have anyone to buy their products. So they have to do something. And that something is probably something like UBI,
Yeah.
right? And it's those kind of steps that are going to undermine their own system. Because one of the things that people talk about when it comes to AI is they can't, that, and I don't know whether or not this is as bad as people make the claims, because there are people out there who make tremendous claims, but that there's no path to profitability with the AI that they're developing, right? Which to me that sounds great, right? Like, and all the models, right? Like they'll come out with a model and it will cost like, I'm just throwing out arbitrary numbers, but it costs like $1 per conversation that you have with it. And then a couple months down the road, there's another one and it's 50 cents or 30 cents or 10 cents. And they keep undercutting each other
Yeah.
because all their models drive these costs towards zero. And that's what's going to get them, right? And there's nothing they can do about it because they have to go as hard as possible to make the AGI that's going to do the whole thing. And that's why I think it's great. My desire is to minimize the suffering between here and there, right? Is UBI a solution? No, there are tons of problems with that type of resource distribution, but it would help to minimize some suffering, right?
Yeah, I think the way you could implement UBI might help in a band-aid kind of way,
Mhm.
or maybe perhaps in a temporary way. Because I think what I was thinking about as well is in the middle of that uh,
Yeah.
was that
Sorry,
the
I'll go.
people who own the AI or who develop this AI and implement it, and the companies who implement it, where do those benefits go? Right, because people are getting laid off. Right, like we're doing more with less work. That's less work effectively. Where are those profits going? Right.
Right.
And can we do something about that? But yeah, I mean, I think what you're saying is pretty interesting. And I just lost my train of thought. What was the exact last thing you were saying?
I was talking about UBI and like minimizing suffering and that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, okay. So UBI, UBI can be that kind of middle transitionary program, so long as it does not take away or replace benefits. I think that you could probably craft a UBI system to cushion some of these impacts. You're going to have to, or bad things happen if you don't.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah, no, historically speaking, when you have had large populations of people with children with hungry bellies and too much time on their hands, those people make a calculus and they do stuff, right? And like the counter to that is, oh, well, the Palantir police state and the drones and everything else. Human beings are so amazingly creative and crafty and just like they love to break shit So there's like zero chance that you're going to be able to create a system that the human beings aren't going to be able to mess with.
Yeah.
So that's why they have to do something, right? And Elon talks about UBI. Sam Altman talks about UBI. Sam Altman actually ran the biggest UBI test run in history. And there's been like, I think it's 156 different UBI experiments that have been run, and all 156 of them worked out in a positive way for the people involved. And I don't see what other option they would have.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, again, the thought process is they're gonna have all of this profit, right? Like they're gonna have all of this money. It's gonna have to go somewhere, and that somewhere is going to be funding probably these UBI programs, right?
Mhm.
That's at least that's what I think. And to your point, I mean, how long was it before people started breaking the Switch 2? That Nintendo claimed was
Right.
not breakable. It took them about 48 hours, I believe, before people
Yeah.
started messing with the actual like I don't know what the term is, kernel, like the actual like initial underlying background system that was supposed to be unbreakable. That happened very quickly. So yeah, I think that might be true.
Yeah, it's what we do. We love it. You give human beings access to some piece of technology, and they will break it and try to make it better or more like what they want. And they will like take two things like this remote and this vape and smash them together and try to create a whole new thing that appeals to people to do a particular thing. It's just what we do.
Yeah, no doubt. A very valid question. Would you let someone turn you into a cyborg like RoboCop?
Oh yeah, I'm transhumanist all day.
There you go.
I'm I'm 52, almost 53 years old. The knees don't work as well as they used to. All sorts of stuff. I would absolutely swap out parts. I don't have that. That's always been, because whenever I watch one of those sci-fi movies where they put somebody in the robot body and that person freaks out, I I can't relate, right? Like that just sounds super cool.
I mean, I don't know. Will we have control over that? If so, then like yeah, I guess, right? Um I
Well,
guess it goes back to the same like problem of like who owns that, right?
yeah, it people like whenever you talk about like things like transhumanism or the anti-aging drugs, all the things that they claim that AI will bring us and all that kind of stuff. People are all only the rich will have it. It'll be like Elysium and everything else.
Yeah.
But again, using AI, right? I used Gemini, and I had it it's got a nice deep research function where it'll go to all these different websites and everything and get you a nice report. And we've always had this, right? Like it used to be cancer drugs were only available to the super rich, and vaccines were only available to the super rich. Whenever it's cell phones, right? The first cell phone was like $13,000, and
Yep.
now we all have them, right? That is the trend. That's the way all of this stuff goes. In the beginning, will it be something that only the rich have? Yes, absolutely. It'll also be the worst at that point in time. This device that I have, I got a Galaxy S25 Ultra,
Mm-hmm.
is the best tiny little computer I've ever had. Right? It blows away computers I used to have. It's the best cell phone, smartphone I've ever had. And it's like it's $1,000, and it isn't really $1,000 because of all the weird financial shit that the cell phone companies do to keep you as a customer.
Yep.
So I just don't buy it, right? The trend of history, historical context, always trends towards this technology will initially only be available to the powerful and the wealthy, but over time it comes to us all.
Should we move to or I guess can we? I think this was somebody in chat. Let's go back. Is it even possible to stop or ban AI? As some, I don't think this is like a unique point that I've seen. Like even lawmakers attempt to do something like this. Would it even be possible to ban or stop AI, or whether it be LLMs or AGIs?
No. And it hasn't. I don't think it was ever possible because it's just the way the technology develops. But once the United States declared artificial intelligence as a matter of national security and put us in the competition loop with China, there's no chance. We're just not going to do it, right? Like, because if the United States, for instance, were to say, we're not going to do AI anymore, we're going to, pause development, we're going to plateau it for now, would the Chinese agree to do the same thing in the current environment with the current, even if that was possible, given the current administration, the current Congress, everything else that we have, even if we were able to do that, we are so far away from China trusting the United States in order to pause. And let's say China did, right? Would Russia, right? Because Russia's working on it as well. Singapore, France has a nice open source model in Mistral. The UK is working on stuff. The UAE and Saudi Arabia both landed big deals with like OpenAI and other providers in order to develop AI. So it's like, how would you stop this exactly, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like trying to stop the internet. Once the internet hit, there was no stopping it. It was going to be everywhere and everything was going to be on it.
What type of what type of regulations should we consider with these with this type of technology?
I mean, again, like, I don't think any regulations are going to happen because of, our current dysfunctional American government and the thing that I just said about, the competition loop. So, like, on one hand, I want to be flippant and say whatever regulations you want because they're not going to happen. So shoot from the moon. But realistically, like, it's not an issue of regulating AI, right? Like, let's take one of the biggest issues that people have, like art, right? People are angry about the art. People are angry about the artists. They are angry and they want something to happen. On one hand, okay, they're the weirdest thing has happened is that there's a bunch of people on the left who are on the same side of a conversation as like Warner Brothers Music and Disney and everything else, because unfortunately the truth of the matter is that copyright, if you benefit from copyright as a small creator, that's crumbs and incidental. Copyright benefits capital. Always has, always will. So I don't think, again, that addressing it on that level, that we should do something to, like, that ethical AI, or compensating creators in that way. Let's compensate everybody, right? Let's move past this idea of compensating a particular portion of society who create stuff, because we all create stuff, and move it to resource distribution so that more people can create stuff, right? Like, let's Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
get all that shit done. And then once you've got that, then does it really matter if the AI trained on your artwork, because you're fed and you're happy and you have a house and food and shelter and friends and all that kind of thing.
Right.
And I'm just big picture on the entire thing, because I think that's a more realistic vision.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense, especially coming from a more left perspective, with regards to the idea of copyright or intellectual property. That is very much a capitalist framed system, right?
Mhm.
So that it framed like that, I completely agree. I understand. I think that, like, what a lot of people have umbrage with is particularly with, like, how, and this may not necessarily be like, would algorithms be considered AI? I don't know.
Mhm.
Um,
They are.
would be how people's data gets used and exploited.
Mhm.
And I think that we could solve that with regulations, because it shouldn't be that someone like Facebook should have all of this access to data, and just make, like, billions of dollars for profit, without that kind of being able to be redistributed, right?
Sure.
Here's another question in the other on the other side. Like, how could we use AI and to make things work? Like, how would we use AI for I don't know, for making government better? How would we use AI to make society better? Like, how can we do that?
I've actually got an example of that, because I'm not really into, like, ists and isms and all that, because I don't, like, as someone, you could call me an anarchist and I wouldn't get mad about it, but, like, I don't agree with every anarchist ever. So I'm not an anarchist, right? Fundamentally, I like to talk policy. I like to talk, let's talk about the individual ideas. As an anarchist, for the, framing, um one of the biggest problems, for instance, with anarchy or anarchism, is that it doesn't scale well, right? Beyond certain group size, like 150 people, something like that, whatever the math is. There is a type of artificial intelligence that you can use, which is a conversational swarm, right? So what you could have is, you could have these local groups that, like, mutual aid, local, in the community, they understand their conditions, and they have conversations, right? Like, within the, the tech and the tools. And then the swarm AIs can pick those up and share that with other groups, right? And like, you can just talk, oh, like, there's a storm coming, so we're going to need more sandbags. And then that information could be shared, and another collective who has sandbags to spare and no storm coming could send those on over. That's an example of how you could use this technology.
Nope, this sounds
to
like
actually
central
make
planning. This is communism. I'm out of here.
See, one of the greatest things that ever got taken from us was, there's a thing called CyberSyn, 1973 Chile. right before they cooed the homeboy and took him out. They had a rudimentary algorithmic based distribution system for controlling resources between the different factories and groups and stuff like that, and it was really good in 1973. And like they even had where these right-wing paramilitary groups were attempting to close off the cities, and they were still getting the resources through. So like we've all one of the things is that all the stuff that I talk about, and a lot of this I lean on Aaron Bastani's book, but all the stuff I talk about has historical precedent and like is within the leftist framework. So people don't have to worry that they're going to get kicked out of the leftist club. These are leftists. What was his name? Bogdanov. Their guy back in 1903 wrote a book called Red Star. He was part of, he was down with Lenin and all those people back then. And he wrote this science fiction novel about this Martian civilization. And it was AI, and the people were gender fluid. It was so far ahead of its time. But it's the underpinnings of what we're talking about, right? One of the issues you run into when you talk about like in the communist society, well, who's going to clean the toilets and shit like that? Who's going to do the jobs that nobody wants to do? And it's always something about, oh, we'll share the work, and we'll divide it up, and everyone will. How about we just let the fucking robots do it, right? Like, how about
Yeah.
we let the AI do all the work?
And if
And
we
can
didn't
just
have
do
that,
what
I
we
mean,
want.
yeah, that's true. But I mean, even if we didn't have that, like, I don't know, man. I clean toilets. I clean my own toilet.
I'm with you.
So, like,
Right?
yeah, I don't know. I think that the people's arguments, like, oh, well, nobody's gonna want to do that. It's kind of silly. Hey,
Mhm.
someone posted in chat here. I'm using AI to predict the impacts of climate change. I'm using it to help homeowners understand and mitigate their wildfire risks. So, I mean, yeah,
Nice.
yeah. This is originally I was asking like how we can use these tools to better society and make things work. And this is another example. I think this is
Mhm.
really cool actually, where you can
Yeah.
use something like AI to, for example, predict the impacts of climate change based on your address.
hmm It's like, what have you ever wanted to do? And then fire up one of these chatbots, right? I'm not saying pay for anything. There's a bunch of free ones. And again, the environmental impacts of inference are tremendously overstated. So don't worry about that either. Just fire up one of these chatbots and have a conversation with it. It's not a person, but talk to it like you would talk to a person. Talk to it about the thing that you would like to do. And at the very least, it's a brainstorming opportunity. You're going to go back and forth. Maybe you'll get better ideas. Maybe you'll create something that'll save us all, right? Like, I might be overstating, but you never know until you try. And that's what I think more people should do, right? Give it a real go. Don't like, one sentence, write me the best sci-fi novel ever written in the style of William Shakespeare or some other nonsense. Actually, what is something that you care about? You actually want to try and talk to the AI about it and see what it can help you out with.
Yeah, and I think that would
Real quick, just responding to ground level news. Whoop, that's not the one I want. One moment. Watch this video again. This is because not only does this video, this is Alex Avila's AI Wars video. Not only is it a good video to really understand all the things that are happening, but Alex has a a collection of links. They have assembled the data. It's all there. Alex has done all the work.
So should I mean could perhaps well, I think most of the issues when it comes to the environmental impacts of AI come from the water and the essentially the energy to make these things go. And again, this would probably have to do with government. If you want to power these things, we should probably be focusing on renewables, right? We should also like understand where we're building these things. But I think renewable energy is probably an answer.
Yeah, we were doing great up until the current administration, pulled the subsidies out from wind and solar, right? Like we were actually doing phenomenally well. And this is actually a point that I make. Again, not how I would like things to be, but how things are. The government doesn't give a shit about you and me, right? It just doesn't care. It does care about what the money wants. And all of a sudden, the money wanted solar, and the money wanted wind, and the money wanted nuclear. Some people might not be a fan of nuclear. I am a fan of nuclear. It has excellent power density for size and other things, but I don't want to go off on that. There's also geothermal. Cosmic Seekin is a huge one of the members of the community, huge fan of geothermal. Thinks we need geothermal, and geothermal is great, especially if you have all those fracking wells left over from when they extracted those things. You can use geothermal in those fracking wells to do something with the ground that you screwed up. But all of a sudden, the money wanted these things, and they started to happen, right? And especially if you look at what China has done, China actually reached a point where they were creating, earlier this year anyway, I don't know if it's continued, but they were creating more energy with renewables and nuclear than they were with like coal and gas. And that's phenomenal, right? So that was one of the things that was happening. And the other thing about like solar and stuff like that is you can pretty much put it up anywhere. The only issue you run into is energy storage and off-peak hours and everything else. That's another conversation also to be had around like our battery levels and how we do need stuff like, again, nuclear to offset those periods, but it can be done. The other question is about the water, right? Like water is an issue, right? I just saw an article. I didn't read the article, but I saw the headline that Meta opened a data center, and the people stopped having water come through their faucets. Their taps ran dry.
Yeah.
I don't know how, like, again, that could be absolutely 100% what happened. It could be a temporary issue that came because they turned on the water to the thing and like that. But also a lot of the water that's used is in closed loop systems. Old Lobster, member of the community, has, and probably some of you do too, you have a liquid cooled computer in your house. It doesn't eat the water. The water is still inside the system. It just goes around and around. But if you talk about it in how much water goes through the system per hour, then it's big scary number that you can then use to get people to read your story, and the media can, not always, but can use fear as a motivator to get you to read the story, right? Like that's the thing. The other thing that happens is that the water can go through the chillers and be turned into condensation, which goes back into the atmosphere and re-enters the water system. Now, again, there can be issues with local communities and their groundwater being, extracted, but that's again an issue of capitalism, not an issue of the AI. And finally, the third point, when people talk about the AI data centers, they rarely do an apples to apples comparison with other data centers. They say things like it uses as much power as 100 homes or 1,000 homes, or as the country of Japan, or what have you. And what they should be comparing it to is like, okay, so we use AI, data center for AI, and it uses X amount of power, whatever that is, right? How much power and water is used by the data center that runs World of Warcraft or Netflix or Twitch, right? Do an apples to apples comparison, and let's have that conversation, and let's see. Because I'm open, right? I go where the data goes. I don't care. If the data says that the AI uses like 50 times as much, then we have something that we have to deal with. But if it uses a comparable amount, and again, I use the AI to, do reports on this, and apparently all of AI inference in a given day is equal to about twice World of Warcraft for 2 hours for all its user base. Now, first of all, I don't know how many World of Warcraft players only play for 2 hours, but World of Warcraft players for 2 hours use as much electricity as half of all the inference. And then there's Call of Duty and friggin' Fortnite and all the other things, right? Like, and this is why we need to actually, media literacy is a huge thing on my channel. You actually need to look at what's being said to you and ask yourself, especially if it agrees with you, is this true? And how can we verify that information?
Yeah. I definitely want to see some of those videos. So maybe later you can throw some of those my way on the Discord or something, so I can play all of these things.
Yeah, no, I will go through, because in my Discord, I have saved almost, because I have missed some, but almost every article we've covered and almost every video that we've covered on my channel. So I will get you some hot stuff that you can share with your people. You said you wanted to talk for about an hour, and we just went over an hour. So
Yeah.
You want to wrap this up?
Yeah, sure. I mean, like, that sounds good to me.
We can always talk again.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I'm gonna need all the units in freedom units, specifically hamburgers per hour. Yeah, I mean that you have a lot of work to do there, Globus. Dude, thank you so much for hanging out. I'm pretty sure this will not be the last time, because I felt like maybe this was too short. Unfortunately, my time before I have to get like food or whatnot, is always like about 7-ish. It's not like a hard 7 p.m. exactly I'm out, but yeah, usually around this time. But definitely, I feel like this needs to have like maybe 2 or maybe 3 parts to it to kind of just like understand, because there's so much that we could probably go into, that I feel like this is just like an intro. So another way of putting it, like I feel like I have a lot more questions that I would like to ask, especially now that I've got a couple of things going in my head after this first conversation. And that's probably going to have to happen after I watch some of this content. So I'm definitely down to continue having this conversation, because this is
Yeah.
super interesting, especially like as someone who really likes technology, but has
Mhm.
always been it's kind of like this double-edged sword uh, for me, right? Because like technology is great, technology has been awesome, until the capitalists get their hands on it,
Yeah.
and then it's just like, and then it's ruined, and then it ruins everyone else. um, so that's kind of like one of the things that I've been thinking about with regards to AI.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm down to get a little bit more do a little more deep dive into some of this stuff, and have more of a conversation. Part two, maybe part three, however many parts it takes to continue this, because this is freaking awesome, man. I feel
Yeah.
like
No.
I've learned like a thing or two, which is very, very important. Every time, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter who you talk to, for how long, or what you talk about. What's important is that you learn something, and I think that definitely was accomplished here. I'm very happy, and I'm very thankful that you came on. You're
Oh,
doing
it's
this.
absolutely my pleasure. And we'll definitely, like, I think one of the things, as streamers, panels got a bad rap due to all the debate bros and whatnot. um I have been doing my little part in, the little sections that I run in, to try and make panels make panels great again, right? Get like 3 4 people, have a conversation, talk about a thing, actually talk to each other, and have fun with the ideas, and I think getting different questions, based on people's actual, like, lived experience, I think brings a lot of value to the conversation.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely reach out. I'll hit you up. I had a great time. You've been great, and I've been Globus, and I look forward to the next one.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Globus.
All
Thank you
right,
so
take
much
care,
for
homie.
stopping by. A huge W. Capital W. Capital letter W. Honestly, that was pretty freaking cool. Great combo. Thank you, BCat, and welcome. Next combo needs to be at least 2 hours. Uh, Read and rap some of the folks from Globus's chat. Appreciate you guys being here. Thank you all, and thank you for hanging out. As Asianometry has a video on this, there are two different loops, one closed and one open. Yes. Thanks for behaving, chat. Chat's pretty good. Chat is like always very good. Please, no more debate panels, dude. Debate panels were peak politics. What do you mean? That was peak politics in 2015 or whatever. Was it like 2015? Maybe even earlier than that, when debate when blood sport politics was a thing. Jesus. I think I may have been on one debate panel, maybe two. But yeah, that's something that I don't miss. Like, political blood sports. You know, and I think, and I think that it kind of maybe had a residual effect of cheapening politics. Kind of as a downstream effect, with all, just kind of looking, how they say hindsight is 2020. Uh, maybe having these political panels in the way, not for having, like, exchanges of ideas, like how me and Globus are talking, just having conversations, or like how this space have have different kind of guests or hosts, I should say. But this concept of like actual political like blood sports kind of really cheapened politics. And I guess we see some of the downstream effects of how discourse has played out. No more debate panels, more Timu Sam Cedar panels. Not likely sufficient that I have various ideas. I'm too much of a failing eye for anyone to care what I think. I don't think so. That's not true. I want political blood sports, but it's actual blood sports. 1 round of debate and 1 round of full contact MMA. Oh my god. So not only do you have to be like sharp in the mind, but you also have to be ready to throw down hands. Debate panels equal brain damage. How about a death panel? We already have those. This is America. Ladybug. That was really freaking cool. Now I have to like go back and do like, I don't know, like 5 hours, 5+ hours of homework. Globus, man, Globus just left me, just left me with 5, maybe even more, maybe a lot more. God knows how much homework I'm being left with. And to watch and dive into. Make chess boxing great again. I agree. It made politics seem childish and shallow. Yeah, not just that. It made politics. It made politics toxic in the way that we're no longer like, this is why. This is why your ideas are terrible, or this is why like I may be wrong, you know, and I'll gladly take the L. But like none of that happened. And it kind of devolved into this team sports. Do you have a Discord? Yeah. There you go. It doesn't work from the YouTube end, but if I type it or someone in Twitch chat types it, it will appear and you can join Tropical Ding Dong. But yeah, definitely that was a really interesting conversation, and I'm sure that we will have Globus on more, especially after I've watched some of these things. Because honestly, what I aim to accomplish, is to get a introduction, and just to first of all just to chat with Globus, because that's someone who I've been meaning to talk to as well. First and foremost, just to chat, and also just to get an idea of what really this is, because I'm not, admittedly, I'm not very well versed, but I've been given homework, and so that's what we'll do. Most of the debates were just right-wingers spewing garbage and misinformation. Right, and like you can't fight that. You can't really fight that. Not really. Because like, what are you going to say? Like, no, you're a liar, and here's why you're wrong. And then they'll like move on to the next lie. And just gaslight and evade and gish gallop, right? And at the end of the day, it's just like, I think it's like the problem also, just to kind of add to that, is like the performance aspect of it, of blood sport politics back in the day. And back in the day, I mean like less than 10 years ago, maybe 10 to 15 years ago, we'll say as the timeline. The problem is that I just lost my train of thought. Is that, yeah, you're just playing for entertainment, right? Like, it becomes an entertainment and a show, and it stops being about the actual facts of the matter, right? That doesn't mean you can't, like, debate people, or you shouldn't debate people or argue with people. I argued with people all the time. I've literally had to, like, I've literally argued with, like, Nazis and fascists in their in their Discord. But I'm certainly not going to bring it out on stage and make it into a show, because then I think that kind of becomes problematic, right? And I'll have arguments with chat sometimes when right wingers decide to come in, but at some point, if the facts and the reality of the matter, whatever that reality may be, whether Trump lost the 2020 election or not, when that just gets not respected, like, there's no point. Like, there's no point. It's like having an argument with an orangutan throwing hish at the walls. At a certain point, you have to realize the orangutan is into it. Yeah, exactly. A very, very succinct analogy there. Well put. But anyways, I'm getting off into a tangent here. We got everything that we came to accomplish. I think I got through most of the articles that we needed to go through. So I got to get myself out of here. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for joining. I feel like people have been indoctrinated by liberalism to overvalue debate and rhetoric. I mean, maybe. I don't think that, like, necessarily, like, inherently, like, having an argument with people is bad, or having, like, or using rhetoric to make a point, or to argue for your beliefs is necessarily bad. I think it's problematic when, like I said, you make a show out of it, right? Like, it's no longer about even what you believe at that point. It's a spectacle, right? And that's the problem, or one of the big problems. It's just like, we're not talking about, like, whether or not me and you are having a real debate, right? It becomes who looks better, who sounds better, right? Like, a person who, I don't know, this is kind of like being very shallow and over simplistic, but like a person who is, like, perhaps maybe more meek, or maybe more shy, maybe like myself, who is very shy and who's more soft-spoken, but would have the correct points, it would mean nothing, no matter how good and how well put together my points and arguments were, and my rhetoric was on point. It would mean nothing if the like, I don't know, if the Nazi in the other side was just was like a professional showman who had media training and who knew who knew how to play the crowd or whatnot. You know what I mean? That's kind of like what the issue is. I don't think it's bad. It's just overvalued. I mean, maybe. I agree with ADT. I like debate and rhetoric are good things, but you actually have to believe in a common reality for them to be meaningful. One side is just cynical about reality. That's one way of putting it. Who is the shiniest? Shiny from form of overfunction. The substance of the debate matters too. I don't care if you think vanilla is the best flavor. How are we feeding school children? Yeah. That's true. Although, hold on. I think that debating the flavors of ice cream is highly, highly important. Personally, there's no other flavor that can be that is above vanilla. There's no other flavor of ice cream that is above vanilla. Okay, and here's my argument. With vanilla ice cream, especially like the really like awesome like vanilla French vanilla ice cream, you can do anything with that. You can put fruits, you can put chocolate syrup on it, you can put caramel on it, you can put whatever. You can put a mix. That's why. I mean, like, you can't go wrong with vanilla, with French vanilla ice cream. You can put cookie crumbles. Look at that, and chat's now going after me. Mint chocolate chip, you commie heathen. Cancelled. Look at that. This is what destroyed the left. Ice cream heresy. Yep. Mint chocolate chip. Maybe licorice. Now that's heresy. Rocky Road. Look at that. I'm getting hit left and right by chat over my very, very obvious and divisive language when it comes to ice cream. Oh, good timing. You know what that means, folks. We're going to have to stay here for a minute. No Justice MTG, thank you for the raid. I appreciate it. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Actually, my enchilada's waiting. No problem. Thank you so much for raiding. Welcome, everybody. If you haven't seen me before, I am a difficult truth. I do the news. I do the politics. We're here Monday, Wednesday, and Thursdays around 5 p.m. Check us out on this space at Tuesdays, 7 p.m. I disagree with the basis of reality. We're having an intelligent debate. Yeah, we are. The ice cream flavor debate. It's incredibly important, I think. I'll ally with Camp Vanilla for that. It's the Morton. Hey, welcome. I know what you mean, but to me, you're just describing why debate is overvalued. It's like a form of violence/force that the other person has to agree to. It only really functions under gentleman's agreement. Right. Precisely that. Exactly. So there's no point. Exactly correct. I agree with you. There's no point in debating if the person that you're debating doesn't adhere to that, right? It's kind of like, it doesn't really matter, right? It doesn't matter if I sit here and debate all the MAGA people in the world if they're just going to just deny reality, right? It doesn't do anyone any good. Licorice shouldn't exist like billionaires. I'm not a big fan of licorice. I'm gonna be honest. Mint is cheap, the flavoring of the masses. But see, you can probably add mint to you can probably add mint to your vanilla ice cream. That's what I'm saying. Vanilla ice cream is the way to go. Like there's no answer other than that. Folks, if you haven't checked out No Justice MTG, please go do so. Fantastic content creator. I've watched content on YouTube as well. Fantastic work. Sure, and I can add gold to my oatmeal. I mean, can and should are two different things. Espresso ice cream with blood orange gelato. You can do that with vanilla ice cream, right? You can add espresso if you want. It wouldn't be me though. I have a very, very plain palate. I'm gonna be honest. And you know things are getting bad when we're having arguments about food because I'm getting very hungry. We can all agree vanilla slice ice cream. The argument is whether it's the best. And if anything, you've undermined your own argument by all but conceding it requires condiments and it cannot stand on its own. Your god is dead, checkmate, sir. No, it's actually the opposite. I'm thinking because of its versatility and because you can do all of this, it is the best, right? Like that's my argument. Because you can do all of this. If you just decide to eat vanilla ice cream on its own, you can, like I do. I mean, I'm one of those. I'm one of those people that would absolutely eat vanilla ice cream just by itself. And I think that's exactly my argument, and why it would be the best. So how's how's that for Uno reverse card? Uh, I'm one of those people. Trash nomancer. I will eat vanilla ice cream by itself. I will eat vanilla ice cream by itself with no hesitation, no problem. No hesitation, no problem. Um, I'm just saying that all the other ice creams that people say are the best, it's something that vanilla can do, right? Because you can add these condiments. Like, oh, well, chocolate ice cream is the best. Okay, we'll just add your favorite chocolate fudge, is it chocolate fudge? No, yeah. Add your favorite chocolate fudge or caramel. You like flavor caramel? You like the flavor of caramel? Add that to your ice cream, to your vanilla ice cream. I like a twist cone. A quality vanilla can, in fact, be eaten on its own. Yeah, and it's totally good. Just completely by itself. If you just eat vanilla, I fully admit that I eat vanilla ice cream just by itself. Where's Brandon Sutton when you need him about all this? Vanilla ice cream over a brownie and chocolate syrup. See, there you go. Make it into a banana split and make it a party. See, but you can do all that with vanilla. You can set that up. All roads, all roads, including Rocky Road, including Rocky Road, lead to vanilla. Okay, tell me I'm wrong. Can you vanilla and sweet and sour soup? I mean, I guess you can. My grocery store sells $1 soft serve cones and I always get vanilla. Delicious. See? You can't make lemon gelato from vanilla. You can't. That's true. A class show in Nassau County by election 17th of July. Results Barron Ref 938 to Elston Thompson Leah. Labor Jeremy Pert. Oh, this is UK elections, yeah? Confirmation bias. I don't know. Is it? I feel like I've laid out my argument pretty succinctly, as to why vanilla would win in the ice cream world. We lost. Boo. I'm not too familiar with UK politics. I'm gonna be honest. All rocky roads lead to vanilla. Yeah, you can quote me on that one. All right, folks. I've got I actually forgot to go over one story before we get out of here because I gotta get out of here. But I actually forgot one story. Actually forgot one that I didn't go over. So let me just go through this and then we're out of here. Gelato's technically on ice cream disqualified, which is good for ice cream because gelato is generally at least as good, if not better. I don't know. I haven't had much gelato, so I'm not gonna say anything on that. I'll be honest. I haven't had much gelato to really say much. The Trump Justice Department seeks 1 day in prison for ex-officer in Breonna Taylor case because that's, how we do things now. The Justice Department is seeking no prison time for a former officer who blindly shot into Breonna Taylor's home during the botched raid that sparked a federal inquiry into policing in Louisville, Kentucky. Are we literally holding a stomach hostage, chat? I mean, yeah, I think so. I think so. Y'all know it's bad when we start arguing and talking about food. That means I'm hungry. Brett Hankinson, the former Louisville Metro Police Department detective whose shots did not strike Taylor, was convicted of deprivation of rights under color of law. In November, federal prosecutors said he fired 10 shots through a window and a sliding glass door that were covered with blinds and curtains. Multiple bullets traveled through the wall and into an apartment exterior, but did not hit anyone. By a miracle, by the way. By a miracle. The officers who fired the shots that killed Taylor were not charged as they were returning fire when Taylor's boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, fired as police breached the apartment. Right, but I would say that the only reason that happened was because these people did this no-knock warrant. It was their actions that kind of kicked off the chain of events, right? Like, they can't just shrug off responsibility that they shot somebody when they were returning fire, when that whole situation didn't need to exist in the first place. They created that situation. They're the ones that are responsible or should be held responsible for this. There's news that say there's a letter Trump wrote to Epstein. Ooh, I'll check that out later. In a sentencing memo filed late Wednesday, yesterday, the Justice Department wrote that reasonable minds might disagree as to whether defendant Hankinson's conduct constituted a seizure under the Fourth Amendment in the first place, and there's no need for a prison sentence to protect the public from the defendant. Yeah, dude, no need. No need to hold tyrant cops accountable. No need for that. No need to hold cops who violate civil rights accountable to the public. Sure. A judge ruled in February that the evidence was sufficient for a jury to believe that Taylor was still alive when Hankinson fired the first 5 bullets through the bedroom window. The sentencing memo seeks 1 day of incarceration, which is the length of time that Hankinson spent behind bars when he was initially booked on charges. No career line prosecutor from the Justice Department signed off on the sentencing memo. The memo is signed by the Trump administration official Robert Keenan, senior counsel for Civil Rights Division, who was involved in the Justice Department's effort to undo a jury verdict that found former Los Angeles county deputy guilty of a felony charge of excessive force. So, yeah, the Justice Department Civil Rights Division has undergone a massive overhaul since Trump took office, and its policy and personnel changes have led to a mass exodus. It's 1 day, which was already fulfilled, so therefore they're saying he should just go. In some pretty ridiculous shit that really just shows the whole racist ass of the entire 2A bullshitter lobby. Ain't got shit to say about standing your ground when a bunch of armed thugs burst in, guns a-blazing. Right, in the place that they were not supposed to be in the first place, and then to say, we don't have any responsibility for creating the situation that led to the death of this person because we were defending ourselves from the boyfriend who didn't know who was busting down their door in the middle of the night. But yeah. There's just so many layers to the wrongness. Yep. Yeah. From the way they obtained the warrant, for one, which people supposedly were charged for this, right? The guy who lied on the application to the to obtain that warrant. I mean, like it's just so gross. The Justice Department is unaware of another prosecution in which a police officer has been charged with depriving the rights of another person under the Fourth Amendment for returning fire and not injuring anyone, according to the memo. Well, I mean, sure, why not, dude? Your rights weren't violated because you didn't get hit. That's cool. The memo said the two federal trials were ultimately necessary. The memo said that two federal trials were ultimately necessary to obtain a unanimous guilty verdict, and that, even then, the jury convicted only of one count, even though the elements of the charge and the underlying conducts were essentially the same. Hankinson was acquitted on a state charge. Here, multiple prosecutions against defendant Hankinson were brought, and only one of three juries, the last one, found him guilty of these facts, and then only on one charge. The government respects the jury's verdict, which will almost certainly ensure that the defendant Hankinson never serves as a law enforcement officer again, and will also likely ensure that he never legally possesses a firearm ever again. The former Civil Rights Division, Samantha Treppel, wrote on LinkedIn that the bullets fired by Hankinson had missed the sleeping baby by about 2 feet. She predicted the court would recognize the Justice Department request as transparent, last-minute political interference into a case that was tried by non-political, long-time career prosecutors who obtained his conviction in front of an all-white jury of Kentucky citizens before a Trump-appointed judge. Hankinson is set to be scheduled on Monday. So that's cool. We were never prosecuted this obviously wrong thing, so why start now? Yeah. That's some logic only professionally willful, obtuse classes lawyers could advance with the utmost solemnity. I mean, this is just fantastic. So basically what they're saying is like, dude, if a police raid goes wrong and you decide to defend yourself because the police were in the wrong, they were in the wrong house, they obtained everything the wrong way, they busted in your house, and you decide to defend yourself from what you presume to be a robbery, an armed robbery, or a break-in, and the police kill your partner, spouse, girlfriend, wife, then they're good. They're in the clear, because the police were actually the ones defending themselves from you, defending yourself from the police who were not supposed to be there in the first place. Like, does this make any sense? Like, in what would somebody who, for example, who hit a car, and then that car, because of the first driver's action, push that car into another car, in what world would you say, well, now the car in the middle is actually responsible for the car in front? That's not how that works. The car who initiated that chain reaction would be liable for both cars. They're the ones that started that chain reaction. So they're the ones that are going to be found liable. I mean, truly, truly gross stuff. If there was ever any doubt of how broken and how blatantly obvious our two-tier system is, I mean, it can't be any more clear. You can't get a more clear example of that more than this case. Right, guilty of living while black. Yep. And she did nothing wrong, and she died, and nobody's going to jail for it. Nothing. Oh, well, the guy is suffering consequences, like never being able to be an officer or own a firearm ever again. He learned his lesson. Now, not all of those officers skirted accountability to the extent that it existed, but the fact that they tried to make this argument is wild. The fact that they try to make this argument is wild to me. Like, oh, well, none of his bullets hit her. So why are you upset? One day in jail, by the way. Now, here's a question. Would that be the same thing for a civilian, like a person who's not a law enforcement officer? Would the same kind of punishment be the same? Like, oh, I was defending myself in a situation that I created, by the way. So therefore, no consequences should happen because, you know, hey, at the end of the day, none of my bullets hit you, so it's all good, right? We're good. We're square. No, it wouldn't really work that way. Not to my knowledge. Wall Street Journal article alleges Epstein had a birthday letter from Trump. Oh, yeah. Ladybug made a mention of that. I gotta take a look at that. All right, folks, I got to get out of here. It's almost close to 8 o'clock. Phew. Basically, Mouselander. At least that's how I'm imagining it. All right, folks, I got to get out of here. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate everyone being here. Thank you for your support. Your support is what makes this channel go. Thank you all. If you want to keep continuing supporting the channel, make sure you hit that follow button. It really does help us out. If you're on the YouTube side, make sure you hit that subscribe button, share, like, comment, do all the things. Spread the word. We're here Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays around 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And on this space on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you to Michael Hasser, Mono, and Heat for modding the chat. I appreciate it. Thank you to Globus for hanging out and giving us that wonderful chat. Thank you, Ground Level News. I appreciate it. Thank you to No Justice MTG for the raid. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you for the folks who came on by. And also thank you for the new follows as well. Appreciate it, folks. We'll be back on Monday. Yeah, it's breaking news. I got to check that out. That's probably what we're going to talk about on Monday. Appreciate you, folks. If you want to support the channel directly, check out the merch store. Check out the ! tip. Do the Substack. Join the Discord, folks. And check out this space. This space is live right now. Actually, if you're on YouTube. Check out this space. It is a working class collective, media collective, where different lefty content creators have gotten together and collaborated. Essentially, there's something for everyone. So I'm sure that you will find something on this space. They do live and syndicated content Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So give that a sub. Thank you all for being here as always, folks. Please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one, Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. See ya. Appreciate it. Thank you for the raid, Waxing Philosophical, as well. Appreciate that. All right, folks, hang tight. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.